songs can fly on the airwaves. They just need a chance to start. Purple songs can grow and hope and faith and fly from heart to heart.
Did you know Purple Songs Can Fly? Welcome to our program, produced by the Children in Treatment at the Texas Children's Cancer and Hematology Centers. Our program is about great music made by some terrific young talents. Now, here are the hosts of Purple Songs Can Fly.
Hello and welcome to Purple Songs Can Fly on the Voice America Kids Network. I am Zachary Tavlin.
I'm Emily Freeman.
And I'm Dominic Dubala.
And you're listening to Voice America Kids and Purple Songs Can Fly here at the Texas Children's Cancer Center. So today we're going to be talking with Miss Catherine Taylor about music therapy, acting, and a whole range of things. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am so jazzed to be here.
So I'd kind of like to start off the show with kind of telling everyone, what do you do?
Oh goodness. Okay. So I in the music therapy world, I work Monday through Friday with people from age 3 up through adults, really, using music to engage with them on everyday goal areas that are really unique to them. Mm-hmm. And then on the weekends, I get to perform on a stage with 4 of my best friends in the whole world, and we write musical comedy cabaret and get to perform that for the city of Houston.
How awesome is that?
It's really fun.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
And also really creative on both of those.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So let's start off a little bit. Let's talk about kind of your more early childhood and kind of get to where you are now.
Oh, boy. Okay.
So where were you born?
I was born in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, on the west side of Cleveland, which was, as I describe it, a really great bubble to grow up in. Because it was the kind of place where we could leave, the car doors unlocked in the driveway and the garage open all day, and my mom would just push us outside and 70-degree weather in the summer, and we would be gone from, sunrise to sunset, which was really nice, just playing with people.
Right.
Yeah. Through school, I tried everything from sports to music and art, and finally found my niche in performing arts, which was a really good outlet for a quirky sense of humor and overcoming shyness, too. I was really shy as a kid. I was really into the books and nervous because I wanted to be polite all the time. So theater gave me the opportunity to play a little bit more, or a lot more, as the case ended up.
Mm-hmm. Right, come out of your shell.
Yeah, truly. Yeah.
Have you seen that personal growth continue even now, or was that more of a childhood thing?
Oh no, it's escalated, if anything, throughout my years in theater and in music therapy.
So your interests sound super varied and diverse. Did you have any influences or inspirations that guided you down those many paths, or did you kind of discover it on your own?
No, I did have influences, for sure. I grew up listening to Broadway music, and my family, my family made a point to take us to the touring musicals that would come through. And I was a very, very, I'm a petite person, but I was very small as a child, and I was always being told, no, you're not big enough yet for anything I wanted to do. I wanted to play the saxophone. I wasn't allowed to do that. Had to play the clarinet. Wham, wham, wham. But I was not too small for theater, and even now I can still play a lot of kids' roles because I look youthful. So that was a really neat outlet for me when I was able to actually embrace my own characteristics and be who I was and not be told that I wasn't a good fit for something. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite play?
Oh gosh, now?
This is a really hard question. It would take me forever to answer this one.
That's my favorite role.
Oh, that's also hard.
Can you maybe narrow it down to 3?
Yeah. Well, okay, I have to ask y'all. We might need to pause. One of I play a lot of varied character roles. So I used to get cast as the ingenue all the time because I'm a classically trained singer. So one of my favorite roles was Marion in The Music Man. She's got a little feistiness to her, which I like.
Right.
And then she sings these beautiful love ballads. And then on the totally opposite end of that spectrum, I played a character named Little Sally in a show called Urinetown, the musical, which was a satirical piece, but Little Sally is opposite. She's so smart, but she's dirty, and she says whatever's on her mind without really thinking about how it's going to come out. So I had a lot of fun with them. And then just this past year, I played a role in the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee and got to actually process a lot of my own inner child work with playing the role that I did, which was this girl who, as I described myself earlier, really wanted to be polite and was kind of finding a way to let her quirks come through as strengths instead of something that made her an outcast.
Just personally, I love Putnam County Spelling Bee. I remember listening to those songs. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Love those music. So, from your early childhood, moving forward into kind of young adulthood, did those interests remain the same, or did they narrow down into music as a central theme?
Well, I started piano lessons as a second grader, and I stopped around middle school taking lessons, when it became work.
Right.
and I really wanted to be able to accompany myself singing. So I just kind of funneled my skills into where my interests were. So I bought sheet music that I was interested in, and I practiced sight reading until I could accompany myself and my sister, who is also a Broadway girl. And we would stand next to the piano and sing together, and that continued through high school. And then also when I was in high school, a really formative moment was when my dad was ill. He had terminal cancer, and we had hospice care for him. So the piano was in the same room as his hospital bed. And as a 16-year-old, I had no idea how to verbally communicate with my father when he was in this state where his senses were shutting down, but his sense of hearing was the one that stayed the longest, I think.
Really?
So I didn't have the words, but I had the music, and I knew what he loved, and I knew what connected us. So I would play the piano, and we would just non-verbally communicate. The music was the conduit for that connection between us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
It
Yeah.
is.
It was something I didn't realize in the moment, but as an adult reflecting on it, it's something that I will be eternally grateful for.
Do you see that kind of communication through music carry through to today in your work as a music therapist?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, and it continues to change me and inspire me on a daily basis. And it's always surprising. Like I said, when I was a teenager and I was connecting with my father in that way, I had no idea what was really transpiring.
Right.
And then I'll go through, which you'll hear later, the day of the life of a music therapist. And I'll be so in the moment and invested with whoever I'm working with that I'm aware, but I'm not aware of the depth of what's happening as it's happening until afterward, and then I have this wow moment.
And let's talk a little bit, because I'm really interested in this, as to who do you normally work with?
Okay. Well, I work at a school called the Monarch School up in Spring Branch here in Houston. And it's a school for people with neurologic differences. So anything ranging from autism spectrum disorders to Asperger's to traumatic brain injury or bipolar disorder, a whole range of diagnoses. But the best part about it is that it's relationship based. So everybody that I work with is not somebody who's, this person with autism or this person with Asperger's. It's this person, right? And this person and this person, and we're all unique and quirky in our own ways. And how do we use music to come together and create something that's unified and beautiful?
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about that relationship and kind of that growth together when we get back from break.
Great.
So this break, we're going to listen to a song called "These Are the Happiest Things" by Sophia, who wrote when she was 11 years old. And you are listening to Purple Songs Can Fly on the Voice America Kids Network.
Happiness is walking through a grassy place with the bright sun making a lot of light. And my heart is purple because I'm excited about being healthy soon. But it's also yellow for all the happiness inside me. Watching movies with my family, scratching the belly of my dog, going to parties with my friends, swimming, laughing happiest things. These are the happiest things. Drawing, fashion, painting, art. Noontime walks in grassy places. Looking at purple and pink things. Seeing yellow smiling faces. These are the happiest things. 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 Going to the beach, jumping in the waves. Looking for some pretty shells. Searching for shells where the water begins. On the shore with my brother Miguel. These are the happiest things. 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 Happiness is walking through the grassy place with the bright sun making a lot of light. And my heart is purple because I'm excited about being healthy soon. But it's also yellow for all the happiness inside me. Happiest things. These are the happiest things. These are the happiest things. These are the happiest things. These are the
Welcome back to Purple Songs Can Fly on the Voice America Kids Network. I'm Zach Tavlin,
I'm Emily Freeman.
And I'm Dominic Dybala.
and we're going to continue with our conversation about music therapy with Catherine Taylor. So, we talked a little bit about the kind of personal relationship you form with the children you work with mostly. Right? I kind of want to learn a little bit about the education required to make those connections. So, where did you go to university?
I studied at Loyola University in New Orleans. And I chose it specifically to study music therapy. And then I did a clinical internship after graduation that was about a year long at the Center for Music Therapy in Austin, Texas, which was really inspirational because it was, if not the first private practice, one of the first really sustainable private practices that solely focused on music therapy work in a big city, which is what I thought I wanted to do at the time, was have my own private practice and a facility. And then since then, I've gotten extra certifications in music therapy with things like working with adults in this great method called the Bonnie method of guided imagery and music, which sounds really fancy, right?
What is that?
So, and I'm an advanced trainee in that, so I'm very nearing my certification. It's using music as a catalyst to evoke imagery, to use our imaginations and then process some stuff that might be a little too hard to process if I were just sitting here talking about it. You know, it's kind of like when we dream and then we wake up and go, oh, wow, and start to connect the dots of what meaning that carries in our lives. So if you just imagine using music as a soundtrack to that kind of an experience, then some pretty amazing results can happen. And then
Goodness gracious.
yeah,
That sounds really profound. Oh my gosh.
It is. It's something that's changed me in a huge way. And then I also got my Neurologic music therapy certification up through the Ungafer Academy at Colorado State University.
What does a Neurologic musical therapy certification mean compared to I guess a non-neurologic?
Yeah, music therapy is complicated because we're young. We're young as far as professions go, right? So different college programs have specialized approaches to it. So, for instance, I went to school that specialized in more of a behavioral approach. And then there are schools that specialize in a neurologic approach and schools that specialize in a psychodynamic approach. All of these big words, right? Just basically to say that there are different routes to get to similar places. I won't say the same place, but similar places. So I was really curious about the fact that there were so many differences in the field. So I went to college at a behavioral school. I did my internship with a neurologic music therapist, and then all of this Bonnie method work that I do is psychotherapeutic. It's all about, our not only just our brains, but our kind of our spirits and our psyches, right? Neurologic music therapy really focuses in on the brain, the way that the brain processes music, and the way that we can affect change in the brain through the use of music, which is really cool, and it's something that scientists are also interested in. Mm-hmm. So no longer am I just the cool lady that walks in slumped over with a bag full of instruments on one arm and my guitar on my other, wheeling a cart with a keyboard on it, but somebody who pays attention to research and uses something really scientific to impact the work that I do. So it's an approach that's gotten the field of music therapy to be so well respected in other disciplines, like neurology.
That's very interesting.
Thanks.
That is.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So you talked about how all of these approaches kind of arrive at the same kind of place. What place is this? And do you notice a difference since you've been trained, or at least had experience in all these different methods? Have you noticed a difference in using these methods to get the similar results in a similar patient?
Yeah, I think different people would have different opinions on whether we do actually arrive at the same place, because the whole approach has to be systematic, right? I'm not just going to go in and say, oh, this would be fun to do today, let's do this.
Right.
I have to have a goal in mind, just like we do with anything that we want to be productive in, right? So, yeah, I've noticed that I kind of have a toolbox, right? So I can, depending on who I'm working with, I can use a neurologic music therapy approach, or, under supervision now since I'm a trainee, I can use guided imagery and music through the Bonnie method work with somebody. Or I can use, I typically don't really go the behavioral approach, ironically enough. But I find that the common thread between them all, like they're arriving at the same place, is how do we make this a holistic experience that honors the person who's sitting across from me, or the group of people in the room that I'm in.
Is there a reason you choose not to use the behavioral approach? I believe you said your school, Loyola, was a behavioral.
Yeah,
station?
it was.
Okay.
It was, and I don't think there's things that are wrong with it, but I'm really, really relationship oriented, and that's something that I've learned in my clinical work at the Monarch Institute, and I'm more inclined to follow the client's lead about and have this curiosity about, well, what are you interested in? And let's make the relationship between you, me, and the music the thing that really motivates us, instead of something like an external reward. So it has its, the behavioral approach, in my opinion, has its place, and the research backs it up, and it's great, but it's not something that I generally gravitate towards.
I understand. So it's your personal experience in the field
Right.
that kind of dictates what you choose to do.
Totally.
Okay. And I really want to talk about these field experiences and kind of what you do with your patients after we get back from break.
Great. And we're going to wrap this up with the song It Started With a Dream, written by the trio Merlin, Mirari, and Jeremiah, who were ages 16, 7, and 11.
There was an astronaut named Heidi. She liked to fly in space. She liked to see Venus and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and stars. It started with a dream, a desire to explore, to discover something new, to blast off and soar. desire forward. Studied and never gave up. She studied hard to achieve her goal, and now she's an inspiration to other souls. It started with a dream, a desire to explore, to discover something new, to blast off and soar. Thank you for taking our music into space. Always know that you have in our hearts a special place. There once was an astronaut named Heidi. She liked to fly in space. She liked to see Venus and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and stars. It started with a dream, a desire to explore, to discover something new, to blast off and soar. It started with a dream, a desire to explore, to discover something new, to blast off and soar, 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 to blast off and soar.
Welcome back to Purple Sounds Can Fly on the Voice America Kids Network. I'm Zach Tavlin.
I'm Emily Freeman.
And I'm Dominic DeBala.
And we're going to continue with our conversation about music therapy, and more specifically, kind of the experiences of a music therapist with Catherine Taylor. So, I am really curious. We've talked a lot about the approaches to music therapy and kind of how you got where you are now. Mm-hmm. Can you walk us through kind of a day in the life? An average day in the world of music therapy.
Oh boy.
What all you do.
If there is such a thing.
You know what? There are days in the life. No 2 days are ever the same. And I'm fortunate in my opinion, I'm fortunate that I get to work with people throughout the course of an entire year before they some of them I've worked with for 8 years since I've been at Monarch, and
wow.
Yeah, it's a really rich experience to get to know somebody over the long term, especially when music is involved. And then even though I see these people once or twice a week, the experience is always evolving, which it should, Yeah. So I work with individuals and I work with people in groups. And it ranges in everything from like getting there in the morning, checking all of my email notes and reviewing my documentation, and then welcoming in whoever I'm going to work with. I specifically like to schedule individuals in the morning because I find that for me personally it eases me into relationship with somebody, and it's just what works for me. So I'll teach adapted lessons like a piano lesson or a guitar lesson in the morning. And then I'll have groups of anywhere from 2 students and a professional educator supporting them in the room to up to 6 students. So, for instance, after lunch every Tuesday, I teach a guitar class of 6 students who have all just finished nourishing themselves with sugar.
With sugar.
That always helps.
Right. So some of
makes their fingers quicker.
Yeah, right. For better or for worse. So some sessions are really high energy and some sessions are really low key. Mm-hmm. So I find that I'm constantly having to modulate my own energy and being able to go with the flow of wherever that person or those people need the music and need to go.
What controls whether a session is low key or high key?
The client, the person that I'm working with, and me keeping in mind what are their goals and objectives. You know, what are we really here to do? And I'm really transparent with everyone I work with, where they know what we're working on, you know, as far as they can have some understanding of it. So that impacts how high energy the session is.
Right.
And a lot of times I use improvisation. I'm a huge fan of that, because I find that if we're able to manipulate the elements of music to support that therapeutic relationship, then first of all, it's really fun to create something. And then secondly, it's often really reflective of who that person is and where they are and where they're going, where we're going.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say the doctors appreciate and respect the therapy that you work with?
Right, yeah. Well, we have, the doctors in my personal setting are psychologists, clinical psychologists, and they do respect music therapy work to the point where I get invited to go speak to the board about what we're doing, which is a huge honor, you know, to be able to have the floor with people and say, this is the incredible work we're doing, and we're proud of it, you know, and we're integrated into this community with psychologists and with speech therapists and physical therapists and occupational therapists. So we all have a really collaborative approach, and I think that's only possible because the leadership honors all of what we do.
That's good.
And so I really want to talk about this kind of collaborative approach and kind of how you can achieve specific goals with patients when we get back from break. So we're going to listen to the song Gonna Be Free, which was written by Eric when he was 18 years old.
These thoughts weigh heavy on my mind. Just trying to get the peace that I can't find. I'm not sure of when it will come. When I try and meet someone in a different environmental space, I arrive in a new place. Anxiety's so heavy on me 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. This different place that I will see will become a fresh start from me to move forward from the past as a chance to see joy that will last in a different environmental space. I arrive in a new place. Anxiety's so heavy on me 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. There is no need to worry, for I do not know what to expect unless I make a decision that I will regret. Anxiety's so heavy on me 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me 'cause I wanna be free of let me be calm like the wave on the shore. When my mind tends to explore all the possibilities in front of me, let me use this chance to learn new things, experience life, live and be free. Anxiety's so heavy on me, 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me, 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me, 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me, 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me, 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me. Anxiety's so heavy on me, 'cause I wanna be free of all these expectations placed on me.
Welcome back to Purple Songs Can Fly on the Voice America Kids Network. I'm Zachary Tavlin.
I'm Emily Freeman.
And I'm Dominic Tabala.
And we're going to continue our conversation about music therapy with Miss Catherine Taylor. And so just really quickly, I'm curious, I was about to go into this in the last segment, what types of goals do you encounter and do you work with patients in music therapy?
Well, at the Monarch Institute, we have 4 core goals. And I would be lying if I said that didn't impact any of the private practice work I do, because in fact it's changed me and my approach profoundly. So we have self-regulation, which involves sensory skills, being able to process what sensory information we're getting and regulate ourselves so that we can, be with it, right? Yeah. And self-awareness of how am I being affected by all of this information that's coming into me, and what am I doing with it? And then relationship development, which might seem self-explanatory, but then can get really fun and complicated when we think about how do we use all of our sensory experiences in relationship with somebody else. And then we have goal number 3, executive functioning skills. So how am I at planning and organizing and carrying out tasks to completion, or even deciding what I want to do, making a choice, or problem solving if I hit a bump in the road. And then the 4th one is academic and professional competence. So it's how do I use my executive functioning skills to be proficient in what I set out to do, whether it's getting a college degree or...
Right, and can I apply that?
Yes, yeah, it's the application in a community with people. So professionally, I'm using my executive functioning skills every day and polishing them because I am a curious creative. So it's something I have to work at. But do I turn in my documentation on time? Do I go to meetings? Do I show up for appointments on time? And so those 4 core goals really impact my work across the board. And then within those, I can come up with shorter term objectives, that are more project-based or just really further defining where we're going.
It sounds like each of these goals builds on the other one.
They're all related.
So more like a practical output.
Yeah. And at Monarch, we call it the I and the we. So, for instance, self-regulation and self-awareness is the I, and then you put the we into it by being in relationship development with somebody else. And then executive functioning is the I, right? I can work on that on my own. And then the we part of that is being in community, either professionally or academically.
What would you say the age range is of the students, I guess, the Monarch
right.
you work with?
Well, we've been growing so much. So when I started, we just went from like 3 years old through high school age, around 18, and now we have this really cool vocational program where we have students who are studying at at colleges and universities, and then we have, the last time I checked, it was like 5 houses and some apartments where people were practicing living independently and all of those important skills that we need.
That's great.
It's so cool, yeah. So we have adults. I work with people. I think the oldest person I work with is 32, which is really cool. I'm 31, so there are different levels of engagement that I have with everyone, and age and developmental levels impact that greatly too.
And a great range.
Yeah, it's so fun. That's why there's never a single day in the life of a music therapist that's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons that being a music therapist kind of would appeal to a lot of people is that excitement and diversity. Yes. And I know that during the break we're talking a little bit, and Dominic had a really cool question that might lead into that for our audience members.
If you have any advice for someone who'd like to become a musical therapist, do you have any tips on how to get there or any things to look out for to become one?
Sure. Okay, so to be a music therapist, my top tip is to observe different music therapists in action, right? And most, if not all, music therapists are really excited about the opportunity to have somebody come shadow us, for an hour, for a full day, whatever it is.
Right.
Because I went into college having no experience whatsoever with music therapy, but already having declared that my major. So I went into my first practicum study going, I'm switching majors. I can't do this. This is so hard. I don't even know how to play guitar. I don't know. People want me to be able to have a song for every topic. This is so much stress.
Come on, there's no turning back now.
Well, good thing I'm stubborn. So.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but I really feel like if I would have observed somebody in action, it would have taken some of the shock out of it and helped me realize that, okay, I have more choices in this and I can specialize. And the other funny thing is I was terrified of working with kids, and now that's all I've done is work with young people. So after observing, then I would say really do homework as far as like what school to go study at. Because like I said earlier, they all have different approaches. And it's important to go meet the people that you're going to be studying with and learning from, aside from just meeting them on paper. But really sensing, to me, it's important to sense that there's a connection there interpersonally. So after you go through this whole college program, you have to be prepared to do at least a 6-month internship. Again, very fun, huge learning experience, very humbling. All of these things that I thought I knew after graduating from college and winning this award of most promising music therapy, whatever the award was, a great music therapy student of the year, and then going into my internship and going, oh my gosh, I don't think I know it, feeling like I went back to square one where I was freshman year in college and wondering if I could make this happen. But through the course of that clinical internship, it's an opportunity to really experience over the long term days in the life of a music therapist and finding a new groove, a new sense of normal that's, being a lifelong learner, but not necessarily being a student.
Right.
And then after that, you get the fun of sitting for a board certification exam. So study up, practice those standardized tests, and you'll do well. And then if you don't want to have to repeat that experience, you can get recertified every 5 years by doing continuing education experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of this sounds very familiar to me as a fresh college student. All these standardized tests in the future, and oh gosh, goodness gracious. Yeah. So, is there a type of person that you would recommend, like if these qualities would help you in being a music therapist?
And be ideal.
Well, there are different areas to specialize in it. So you could be a researcher. I am not a researcher. I am a clinician through and through. I love to be in the trenches. I love the excitement and the adrenaline rush of, meeting somebody and figuring out where we're going with this.
Right.
And I think that's possible in research, but I'm not a desk person. I do not want to be sitting at a desk and till the wee hours of the morning and typing up research papers. So you can have different cognitive strengths, right, going into this. But the creativity is really important. And then I think also like resilience and compassion would be the two other main traits that I think are really, really important.
Okay. Sounds like you've come a long way and you've made great impacts on the people you've met along the way.
Thank you.
That sounds beautiful, the way you're interacting with other people.
Thanks. I find that they impact me. Perhaps I feel like they impact me more than I impact them, but it's a two-way street, you know. So we could hopefully, you know, the people I work with, we could sit in a room and argue. No, you've impacted me more. No, you've impacted me more.
We need each other.
We perfectly said, Emily. We need each other.
And I feel this conversation has been impactful to me. I've learned so much about music therapy.
Yeah,
and
same here.
Goodness gracious, this whole world, and you're never sure of it, and then you talk about it, and it's like, I learned so many different things. Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
And
if you want to learn more, you can go to musictherapy.org, and that's our national association, so you can learn more about music therapy and find music therapists in your area. And just support the field and learn some more.
That sounds great. I'll definitely check it out.
Sounds like a good place to get started.
Yeah.
And so we're going to end the show today with a song called Peace and Love, written by Rachel when she was 16 years old.
Purple is the color of royalty. In the hood it's loyalty. Ballin' playing PS2. Mackin' and rapping too. Purple songs is where it goes down. Laying tracks, laying them down. The purple songs can really fly. With the help of TCH, so can I can't lie, I'm so fly. I'm just trying to get by. TCH give me a hand. He gave me strength with this plan. The studio, don't you know, I never had this chance before. Thanks to all that care about others. Peace and love to the Purple Project lovers. Peace and love, peace and love. Peace to all the Purple Project's lovers. Peace and love, peace and love. Peace and love, peace and love. Peace and love, peace and love. Peace and love, peace and love.
Thanks for listening to Purple Songs Can Fly. We'll see you again next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Kids channel. And remember, for more information about the Purple Songs Can Fly project, visit www.purplesongscanfly.org. We'll be back with more music next week.
Purple songs can fly.